Two pals munching on a well-cooked face together. Regardless, as a spike of pain causes me to lose my immediate train of thought, let's go ahead and get into the fucking swing of things. Why not?
You left me on a cliffhanger last time.
Yes, indeed I did. If you would like to give a recap.
Angel and them were trying to decide, trying to get Ramsey's brother, Myron, to basically take on this new guy. And I don't remember what the cliffhanger was. I just remember I wrote it down, and I don't have my notebook. So DM's going to have to refresh me. But I know that I had a cliffhanger last week.
Yep, and I know I just fucking watched it before starting, and then a pain spec just pushed it out of my head. Where the fuck were we?
Spider Boy. And then I talked about with Myron, Purple Dragon, and Abishai, and then we ended, and I don't remember what happened because it was important, and my brain did the I'm dumb and I can't remember things.
Yeah, I'm trying to peel back too. Hold the fucking phone. Let's just.
Also, Nicodemus. It ended on the nighttime, so in the morning is where we're waking up. Just about 5 hours later.
Yeah, given that our whole plan,
If that.
kind of writing on
With Angel.
I know.
I'm sorry for the people with misophonia. I haven't had a green apple in almost a year.
Not that common of a condition, so I think you're good. For those that are viewing and do have it, though, I apologize.
Oh god, I wanted an apple so bad.
Also, who the fuck was the asshat that named it misophonia?
Misophonia.
I know.
Misophonia.
Misophonia. I know the actual root phonetic name for it, but like, it's rife with the primed possibility and potential intent of just getting absolutely roasted.
So good. So good. Okay. Gotta get the medals out.
I believe technically your endpoint and your cliffhanger, at least for Angel, was simply the cut to black to finish things off.
Oh, good.
So I think in that regard, we're okay. As far as the other cliffhanger, that one I do recall pretty plainly.
Oh yeah, no, she tried to basically threaten Violet by trying to ask her to trade her aunt and her
We'll
uncle,
get to that.
and she was like,
We'll
get
that.
there.
So
I'm excited about that. It's gonna be spicy time. Spicy time.
because I will say, Rivenheart explicitly, Violet has not been there.
Oh no, she hasn't. She didn't get that low. She didn't get there. Tell me we hadn't gone that low. She stopped at the dragon area.
So
I remember where my character sheet is written.
regardless, as we pull back into Sharni.
Okay.
And Angel and Nicodemus awaken and take care of their morning duties, handling their kids, cleaning themselves up, generally trying to get fed and get organized. And get relatively relatively presentable.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What would you like to do,
Does that-
Angel?
Angel's going to set up her normal morning. She did put the delegates in a location that was outside of the normal, for those that could stay under her roof, specifically. They are currently within reach of the apparent quarters of the family.
Right.
But the kids are not in their bedrooms, so they're currently living in the necklace while delegates are present. If I remember correctly, we had that discussion.
Yeah.
Because it was safer for them. Angel's paranoid.
Yeah. Which is to say specifically the kids that are not of age to be engaging with them. At all. Mentally, physically, and all of the above.
So that's kind of where we're at. Angel is waking up. The delegate, he might be able to go to her office, that secondary office where she has meetings if he asked, or he'll find them there getting ready in the morning. Because, I mean, I don't know how nosy he's going to be, considering he doesn't have to necessarily sleep because they're underground.
Yeah. Which is to say, at least as far as your morning initially unfolding, in the last 2 years, given the extended and extremely expanded resources in as short of amount of time as they were for you and your family, Griffin did take advantage of a number of those resources in a frivolous, if still in its own way useful manner in those 2 years. By which, on occasion, your morning debriefing will show up in the format of a Sharney Times, a sort of homemade yet still printer press produced newspaper in a striking mimicry of an old human city. This lays out a lot of the minutia, a lot of the numbers game of things have been adjusted within just the last day that you aren't able to immediately fully pay attention to or digest on your own, but still may need the information as it's required and as it's necessary. This also includes sort of perusings and updates to the ongoings and interactions of those in your company or even as guests of yours, as they may have taken to actions or activities whilst unobserved by you directly. Things that may seem prudent and wouldn't necessarily be considered so explicitly private that they wouldn't be put in there.
Mm-hmm.
There is also, similarly on this newspaper, a crossword section, which is strictly for you and also purely just for
Wake up purposes
and laying out the names of some stress-relieved natured miscreants that dot the borders of your city and in some cases within.
I would set the people who are actually from the troop also in the same area, but they would be closer to Nicodemus and Angel as far as that's concerned, considering they're flight risk as usual. She's like, yes. I'm not going to let them die.
And of course, usually you do get 5 crosswords in that section as well, ranging from quote-unquote misdemeanor activity and individuals engaged in such things, all the way to the unforgivable category. But those ones are the most fun.
Is it like also like a history thing where he like quizzes me on history where it's similar?
Well, like any crossword puzzle, there are contextual hints that are laid out in text to hint at the words that need filling in. Which, again, in most cases, they will be the explicit names of these captured individuals. And, of course, there is a key that just kind of lays out sort of a head
Play by
count,
play.
if you will.
Yeah. As it would. As you do.
And of course, on some days where you couldn't be bothered, you have on occasion given those crosswords to some definitely more innocent children who don't know what the fuck any of it means, but would love a
So
game to play.
I have a question. Do they just fill it in with whatever letters they think about?
Sometimes,
it's not even
yeah.
like it's just like not even, it's like little doodles. So Nick, I just imagine Griffin going back and trying to read those and be like, Angel, what the fuck? I'm just going, do you not know this?
Yeah.
Or just
Regardless,
going,
the puzzles that you've been presented with in, today's paper, a little more than, sort of misdemeanor offenders. Though, point of note, you do have two that land squarely in what are considered the interloper category, which are reserved for those who have entered into the borders and the walls of the city of Sharney without any documentation and have been caught doing so, and so therefore placed in holding. As to the note of their intentions, as of yet unknown, but they only really appear in this particular page and document if their intention has still been as of yet unknown. There are many people that'll, lay out what the fuck happened just pretty quickly if they have innocent reasons, but these are the people that generally keep their lips sealed for whatever reason, be it fear, be it alternate intentions.
so this is basically what happens at night when she's asleep. So basically people that they actually had to get at the border and...
Yeah, things that happen at night when you're asleep, or even things that happen in broad daylight when you're indisposed with other things. As even with the amount of children that you have, you are still yourself one person, and many, if not most of your children don't necessarily take it upon themselves to have positions of governance within your city, as that's not necessarily a lot of their styles.
Well, Kel and Jel do, but that's because we discussed Kel and Jel's jobs.
They're also obsessive, to be fair with those two.
But they're OCD, and they really do like protecting their areas.
Right.
That's why they work under Ezekrin and Griffin specifically. So, and their mother does too. So, but their mother is much more of a nurturing situation. She does a lot of the logistics for the kids. So
yeah.
So along with meeting with their mother and doing the normal kind of stuff, is there anything else other than watching her kids go to school, doing the normal routine? And
it is, to honestly, a point of nearly poignant relief that this morning for once has gone without incident.
That's not normal for Angel.
Yeah, because there's usually at least a prank or something like that that goes on from one or many of the kids.
That means there's something more dangerous going on. Knowing that Angel is very aware and self-aware, that usually means that there's something more dangerous going on within the castle that she's not aware of. How quick is she to find, considering her grandmother's scale color and movement of the house?
Based on what you've done looking around and just asking around, I won't even necessarily make you roll for this. You've learned that a lot of the kids are tense for a couple of reasons. First of all, delegates. There's people in official capacity that are here at the house, and they've been here for more than a day. What is going on? They're uncomfortable. Just purely based off of the fact that many of them, at least in the younger category, don't know what the fuck any of that means. And don't really have the mental maturity to understand that as of yet. And then for those that are still emotionally immature but are, getting a little bit older enough to grasp some of the deeper something's off kind of situations and issues around, The other sort of tense half are a little more shocked at the dagger that fell from the ceiling, as that was not without notice. Given the amount of children you have, as much as you may attempt to leave many things without notice, sometimes they just end up noticed anyway.
I would have Realtar's stuff in my home, wouldn't I? Like things that he owned that he touched.
Would you have that sealed away? Would that have been a trophy room kind of situation? Where would you have stored those items?
I would have stored them in Urkbuck's old trophy rooms under a sealed key with a lockbox with a copper seal.
It does get complicated given that some of your kids have learned to bribe your lockpick dragonettes with treats.
Yeah, but they're not allowed to touch anything in those specific rooms because those rooms are hidden by sexual, like entrance words. There's you'd have to be an adult to do that.
Fair enough. So you've kept those concerning sources away from prying eyes for the most part.
Would I have anything from his mother? Because Urkbach would know about this. Urkbach would be in building currently, if I remember correctly.
Whose mother specifically?
Realtar's mother. Considering Realtar's things
Within
would be
that
inside
collection? No.
Urkbach is in building, yes.
Yes, and at least as far as the subject with Urkbach, from what little you've heard about it, well, actually, I think that might necessitate a history check for me.
Okay.
Because that role will dictate how much Urkbach really will have told you in that
A 19
regard.
plus 10, 29.
She said that his mother was one of the very few subjects around which Realtar became exceptionally reserved. As if it was someone that even he wasn't necessarily comfortable talking about.
Well, she's gonna find out today. Still have somebody who owes me a favor.
And of course, in terms of the more passive entries within the, within the newspaper of sorts, there are events concerning, the theater of revelry. Apparently, by the use of, some coffee and caffeine-laced substances supplied a la Capulus Medicus, they proceeded to do showings not just in the castle, but went through the night and throughout the city, doing as much as their bodies could physically maintain in terms of
time.
Yeah. So they had a very productive night.
Well, they're gonna owe me a tax considering they weren't supposed to do that.
Chalk it up to
Sorry.
excitable opportunists, as theater folks of this kind of era often are.
I'm okay with opportunists. I'm not okay with taking over and doing the things that they're doing. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Which, of course, a point of concerning, but given what was going on, unsurprising note. That is written down in that paper as well. It is noted as an addendum that specifically, let me see here. Rexilan, Yuan-Ti Pureblood, did actually sustain an injury partway through the rather excessive performing, a dislocated shoulder, which was promptly corrected, but it was the event that largely did the performative processions for the night.
So I have a question. With the people who have been captured, how many of them are suspicious enough to think that they may have been one of Realtar's people over the evening? my god.
Okay, sorry about that. That been trying to call my mother on and off about how exactly I'm going to get to her place for Mother's Day tomorrow. Because again, for those that don't know, on the stream, hi, I've got medical issues that prevent me from driving. So,
Okay. So,
repeat your
over the
question about
night,
Realtar, if you would.
because we found that one guy who had Realtar's dagger, the mother's dagger, considering it still has the devil's heel old symbol, which is Realtar's old symbol,
Yes.
on
And
the night.
yeah, and that guy turned to ashes and the dagger was...
I know, but he wasn't the only person who came in last night. My question is, who did we catch at the border, considering Vistras's, or the metal dragon that's on the outskirts protecting the
As
city?
far as who was caught at the border, whether or not they have association with any of this, and they've just, for whatever reason, they're at the border. The two names of note are noted as refused to give name, and then only gave nickname, quote, Cerulean Fox.
Bring them in. I don't want them in my office. In the other building. Within 30 minutes. If you could, Nicodemus, can you give that to Griffin, please?
Yes, I can get that to Griffin.
And I want Aurelia in the room with me. I know she doesn't have classes today. I would have asked for Kismet, but she's got classes today.
Fair enough. I'll get it arranged. I'll do what I can to help and get it set up.
You can have our delegate join me if you'd like to.
If I'd like to.
If our other delegate would like to. The Drider.
Spider.
The Spider. Spider-Man.
The spider vampire.
Calling him Spider-Man. Spider-Vamp. There we go. Spider-Vamp.
Vampire.
So my question is, how do you feel about... I think we should try to see if one of the kids would be a junction between the two. He wants a direct junction, but I don't feel comfortable.
I don't know how I feel about him. I don't know that. I'm not irked, per se. I'm uncomfortable insofar as I did not expect either of us to be in this situation.
I didn't expect Edgerman to look like a skeletal corpse. Because of the hold that asshole had on him. I won't have someone hurt my friend.
Or at the very least, we'll do our best about it.
Hello.
Hello, Amber.
Currently, it was still in the shiny part.
And then we'll get to the rest of the recaps once the shiny part ends.
Alright, that's
I know you're trying to also get... You look tired. You're so tired, Amy.
I have a head cold. It's all
So,
up in here. It's moved down tomorrow and it's gonna stuck.
so Angel goes over to the other building. I talked to Lillian about how to handle the taxing of the play actors using not only the building but the outside buildings, considering they're not supposed to and it's against city ordinance. They probably are going to have a couple of complaints, considering there's some older people who do get kind of cranky at that kind of thing. And
In regards to any taxing involved, who do you think let them out of the building?
Lillian, I don't need the old folks.
I
Go right-
preface the excess charges involved, and in regards to their performance, I supplied them with a number of radial, silence crystals, and sleep candles, meaning those of a lesser constitution slept through their performance.
All right. So
When I say candles,
What-
I mean more torches. You need a larger field of that kind of. But either way,
oh yeah. Well, that means you're gonna have to speed the spider at least something this morning, considering she probably didn't get very much sleep.
you mean Charlotte?
No.
The big blue.
Oh, her. She was well enough fed.
Which means something happened outside of
You
my
and
wall.
Isakrin aren't the only people who have a shit list. Put it that way.
I'm going to put it to you this way. I need to know who's on your shit list and why.
Who are
No,
we
you
talking?
don't. And I have my reasons.
Are we talking to Lilith?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have context. Yeah.
No.
Trust me. You can do that, right?
Fine. Then you are going to do me a favor. It's going to be a dirty one.
Dirty favor.
Mhm.
Do tell.
She puts the dagger on the table.
Her slightly excited face drops, and there is an unmistakable air of disappointment. That kind of a dirty favor. Okay, right.
It's not any dirty favor. Realtar traded in flesh. Which means his mother knows where the flesh comes from.
I mean,
I need to know.
are you suggesting that bitch is alive?
I just said people try
That's
to kill me
troubling.
already. Mhm.
Doubly troubling.
So, I need you to do me a favor.
Mhm.
Find out where her flesh deals from.
Very much doubt she's foolish enough to continue dealing in it here. But
Who do you know in Sunsmith?
I know a lot of people. You'd have to be a little more specific.
The people don't want to know.
You really think that narrows it down?
It does.
Okay, what kind of don't want to know? The dangerous, disturbed, or both?
Let's go with
Or the
both. Or
deviants.
folks. Erkbach is all three of those things.
So people that share all three traits. That does narrow it down a little bit more.
Let's just put it to you this way. If you know them, you shouldn't.
Essentially psychopathic, a lovely subcategory of people. Right next to the essentially sociopathic. At least they know how to socialize.
Yes, but I want the sociopathic. Because they wouldn't be able to make it this far if they didn't have the sociopathic with the psychopathic.
So you want me to tap my own spider's web and see what bugs wriggle on its edges?
I want you to lead it. I want you to breadcrumb them here.
I'm gonna need you to rephrase that.
No, breadcrumbs work.
Breadcrumb. Crumb, okay. I thought you said something else entirely.
Sure, bread clam, whatever.
No,
Heard crumb.
definitely not what I
Where's
had.
your brain?
In a severe amount of pain, dropping the accent here. I'm doing this with a really bad migraine. But
Oh, okay.
So I want you to do it slowly. I want
thank
you
you,
to know
Vanessa. I
something.
wasn't the only one that heard that. Cool.
I want you to know something about the situation. Erkbach doesn't talk about her. And Erkbach talks about everyone.
That's no bueno.
No. From what I heard, Milta didn't really talk about her either. So,
I know, that's what scares me more.
what do the two most sensually violent people I've ever known
Fear.
really know about someone that they refuse to talk about them?
Realtor doesn't refuse to talk about it for no reason.
Him refusing to talk about anyone. Talking. Especially his mother.
Oh, the only person I know that people don't talk about is mafia members.
You don't bring your mama into this business.
Okay, she is the business.
Okay. Forgive me for my crappy impression of Griffin. But you're breaking your mother's heart. Anyway.
There's nothing I can think of other than that.
I'll look into it. I'll lay out some breadcrumbs. Or the other thing.
You didn't
Whichever
wanna
gets them
reproduce?
following along more carefully.
He didn't want to reproduce.
No?
These women, he would take out their organs.
Realtar was...
She deals in children.
Realtar was more a sculptor of the flesh than one who enjoyed it. We'll plumb along those lines.
She devours it. He didn't like...
Perhaps we can
No,
wax
he didn't
theoretical
like
about
cannibal.
what she did as much as we want.
No. I'm trying to tell you from He didn't like cannibalism. He didn't supply cannibals. It was a strict rule. For some weird reason. And he didn't deal in kids. It was a strict rule. The innocent were always protected. They were traded to orphanages and then grown, but not the way people would think. There was no grooming, no nothing. Hold on. She goes and gets Trent books. Trenton Howler's books. Trenton Howler?
Yeah.
Is her name, is there
The
her symbol?
ones that you collected from his place before he became a before he was that harbinger that he was, or after? Or both?
Both. I have both.
Looking for any mention of her or any indication or hint? Go ahead and give me an investigation check as you peel over the pages.
Okay. I really want this
See if there's
information.
anything related to her that you might find within its pages.
I'm a natural 20.
Oh, come on.
Natural 20. Peel over the books and their admittedly very disturbing contents. As many of them are very detailed, repeated, and reconstructed sketches of some of his, ranging from simplistic to more complex personal projects that he put up for display. That many of them grotesquely waxed poetic about the process of that creation.
Yeah. I'm waiting for those people to show up. I looked this over in the other building because it might burn up in this building. Somewhat. It's not transcribed correctly.
Looking it over, he does cite, some of his clients, people that many of these names you've already handled. Is as severe a means as would necessitate their being listed in these books in the first place. He does cite, however, some inspirations as well. Some old skag texts and things like that, even some old legends, sort of boogeymen, old killers from previous decades in the human world, previous centuries for other creatures. Serial killers and monsters of all sentient and sapient sort.
Okay.
As far as any clue or indication of relation to sort of Realtar and his practices, you do note a couple of things that Natural 20. First of all, he, especially in his early days, did actually purchase a couple of... He purchased actually about 7 individuals from Realtar's supply chains in some of his earliest works, so to speak, when Realtar was still active. He also, out of plain plum curiosity, given what Realtar dealt in, did try to see what he could find further up that supply chain, so to speak. And you note that, especially when it gets to this section, the language that it's written in does change. As does the handwriting. It's not fully indicative of Brenton's own script, pattern, spacing, intent.
Okay.
And feeling over it, among a lot of the manned notes and researches and just pathways, you come across a quote that gets repeated through a number of the different segments of the book. And it starts here. And it especially repeats a lot more frequently when you get into his transition into a harbinger after he started working with the Spellbreaker. When dealing in meat, one must find a slaughterhouse from which to source it. And the grinders are often most unclean. That gets repeated about 19 times across the various volumes in that exact quotation in various languages, but always to as direct a translation of that as you can. And something strikes you about the mark on that dagger, where it eventually evolved into the Devil's Heel, a stiletto with a devil's fork at the end of the heel. Going back to this sort of almost overtly simplistic version of a marker, notice it looks less like a heel and a trident or devil's trident in that way, but it looks more like Bill or Bale, the normal farmer's hay fork. Like an old farming company emblem. It's that simplistic and that innocent in its indication.
I call Griffin into the room. I write out the symbol and I stick it on the wall.
So what am I looking at here?
Tell me where you've seen it.
You assume I have, but let me take a good look at it. I'm gonna go ahead and have Griffin roll a history check. This will determine whether he even knows what. And if he does, where he may know it from.
I'm letting you know she puts it on the back of a cow when she draws it.
Use one of the inspiration that you guys. That's not much better.
I can give him one of my inspiration dice.
Well, he is a skag and his history modifier is fucking stupid. So. Okay, well, that's... It's not ancient necessarily, right? But it is defunct. That is an old stamp.
It's called a brand.
Oh, yeah, it turned into a brand, but it was originally a stamp. That was for Rivers End Farming Company. It was bought out after a lot of different farms in... Actually, a lot of different farms in oddly enough, Sunsmith were bought out, especially in the more temperate regions. And it went from being Rivers End Farming to, well, Rivers End Butchery. And even then, eventually, that kind of got phased out. It was Rivers End Butchery very, very briefly, as after a lot of farms were purchased, especially along sort of the, well, along the heat line, so to speak, the, one of our more hot regions. The livestock, all of it, from each and every one of those farms that was bought, was systematically just slaughtered. The meat sold off, but it was a not so subtle destruction of a farming industry.
Someone want to fill me in?
If you'll wait a second, we'll do that in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, we're in Sharney. If you'll inform him while I take like a 5-minute bathroom break, can you give me a bathroom break real quick?
Sure.
So I just got back. Okay.
So we are in the Sharney section briefly before heading off to you guys. In the moment, at least for right now, we've gotten through Angel's morning routine, and she's basically looking into a couple of things, but mainly she's focusing on that dagger that fell from the ceiling with that pile of ash, and what she can find of Realtar's supposed mother, and what this old version of that logo associated with that family meant, which in this case, Griffin, one of her adopted brothers, and the Skag in this case, after rolling decently well on a history check, pieced together that at least this old logo was originally a stamp for a company along sort of a band of Sunsmith fertile land called Rivers End Farming Company, which eventually, after being bought out, became very briefly Rivers End Butchery, as the whole goal of that buyout was to just systematically destroy those farms and all of its livestock. And apparently that same logo, for whatever reason and whatever means, eventually iterated. But we're going to get to exactly how that goes and what that means here when she gets back.
Yeah, I feel caught up now.
Yeah.
We found the perfect car. It was listed for $17,000. But when they gave us the out the door price, they included all these charges for like upkeep, like oil replacement, filter change.
So
and it ended up
unsurprisingly,
being
the dealership fucked you up the ass. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it ended up being like 20 or 21,000.
Fuck. Also, for some additional side context, I myself am dealing with a horrific migraine, so if my pacing, consistency with accents, or even just ability to maintain memory on what's going on in the immediate moment suddenly and at seemingly random instances dissipates, pain spikes be shutting down my brain.
Got it.
I'm ready when you are, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It just took me a couple of seconds.
You had the piss?
No. It was a minor evacuation.
Ah.
You
had to very quickly drop a doo-doo.
Yeah.
Dookie
So,
grenade. Anyway.
Angel, looks at summons a Umakiku out of the necklace.
What's up?
I need you to talk to your mom. I need you to inform her that this symbol grinded down animals in all of Sunsmith.
clarify, it wasn't all of Sunsmith. It was all of the heat region, which goes from any points to. Let's see here.
Yeah, but this is the goddess of nature.
Yeah, there's still other farms. Just that was a very large company at the time. Let's see here.
I need you to tell your mom that this woman has a hit out on me. So I need to know where she is. And I'm going to let you know that she looks over at the eye of, or the machine child, which is Agni. I need you to tell your papa the machine needs to stop grinding. She hands him the symbol of the thing. It needs to stop.
Understood.
She just hands it to both children. This is a conflict for both of them, and I don't want to fight between the two of them. And if it's under their noses, I would prefer they know about it from me. Instead of them find out that I knew and it come back to bite me.
Okay.
So
And
we
at
have
least
those
for
two
further
people.
context for that particular region that he's referring to, that region of Sunsmith especially, for the most part, is known to be savanna and desert. So, what are livestock usually raised for in regions like that? Mostly dairy and trade, more than anything else.
Also travel.
Yeah. Dairy, trade, travel, safety. It's it's in a region like that, it's important for nomadic relations, that kind of thing.
And she also calls Cleopatra. I need you to let your mom know that this is happening after the war is finished.
Okay. Clarify, as far as that particular shift in logo, that's not actively going on. That was a problem. That happened a while ago. Long time ago. Before you were born.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Do you want to try and undo something that already happened a couple of decades ago?
No. I'm going to let them know where it came from.
Gotcha.
Because if I don't, and I know, and they find out I know, then it's going to be an argument between the two of them. And I don't want to listen to the
As
machine.
far
yell at
as
me
someone
and
who
then
might actually know a few more intimate details about that shit. Where is Encash? What country is
I
that
did
in?
invite him. Smith. Oh, I did invite him. He hasn't come up from his slumber yet.
I don't know if he sleeps or not. But regardless,
She's in her secondary office, which means he would probably already be there. So the question is he in the room? And he's just being a boy.
he does kind of materialize out of the shadows.
Told you.
So,
Yeah. It's been a day. Did you bring those prisoners, by the way? Because I do need to at least handle one of them before I stop thinking.
I can get one up here within the next 15 minutes.
I'd like them both.
My
so I can-
apologies, we don't afford our shackled and disparaged the luxury of teleportation. For obvious security reasons.
then have Dunarg have her bring them in. Which is far scary.
All right.
I don't want to piss her off. But the last time I saw him, he was wearing this really weird harness thing, and it was an awkward moment for me.
He's an old. They kind of always wear weird shit.
No, but she makes him wear weirder shit than.
You know how, like, normal gnolls in other parts of the multiverse are formed, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, they are demonic freaks born from the dying corpses of hyenas and explode forth from their bloated bodies.
That's so gross. Can we just not talk about it right now?
Bloated hyenas, and he leaves.
Ugh.
To be fair, some natural-born vampires and vampire, their births can be just as vile. When you are born with bloodlust, sometimes you claw your way out.
Alright, so they wait for the 15 minutes. She looks over him. Do you know this symbol?
No, but, well, I'd have to get a good look at it. But regardless, I know no real tar and all that. I do know the event he's referencing, as far as bullshit. Do you want me to clarify?
Please.
Okay.
Or I have to deal with stupid.
Well,
And then I get to deal with relaxing stupid, kind of. I mean, kids are adorable. And they make me happy. But they're also bumbling, cute little baboons sometimes.
that was called, and is as uncreative a name as this may be, it was the Red River End Massacre. There were countless beasts of burden, beasts of culture, beasts of livelihood that were wholesale slaughtered, hunted down and destroyed. And for those, who owned them, who wished for it not to be the case, or for those that wished to rescue them, as of course... When you make an industry of providing peaceful trade across an entire region of a very big country, and suddenly someone buys out that means and wants for it all to be destroyed, the consumers of that trade are going to suddenly be very protective and get caught in an if I get frantic, I start to stutter. Have you seen a stuttering vampire? It's not very fun. You're going to be caught in an inevitable crossfire.
His tongue got stuck in his teeth.
So, it was called Massacre for a number of reasons. Not only the destruction of livestock and therefore the basic radical disassembling of the culture that surrounded it, but in some cases the deaths of those that tried to stave off that particular choice.
Was there a species of animal specifically that died?
Wholesale, no, but driven to a point of endangerment? Yeah.
Which one?
The woolly rhino.
The Wally rhino or woolly
The
rhino?
woolly rhino.
That's what I heard as woolly.
I heard
Technically, full name is wool-coated
Wally.
rhinoceros, but
Wally. Wally.
the trash droids, they were driven to endangerment. No. There's only one left, and he's been taking the parts of the others to try and keep himself going. It's freaky.
Well, I mean, they're already dead, and he can reuse their bits. I mean,
And now it's in love with a probe droid. There's something very wrong here.
So,
Welcome to the Wally reference that will absolutely happen if I ever run a Star Wars RPG. I have the books for it. I'm gonna do it at some point.
Star Wars.
Yes, there's a Star Wars RPG. Y'all want to be Jedi or bounty hunters or some shit? We can do that later.
Later.
Whether that be later years or whatever, we'll figure it out. But whatever.
all right, so, Angel leans over the edge of this desk and looks at him.
Zenkesh took in a lot of the refugees from that.
I'm talking. Okay, was there a species or race that disappeared?
Wholesale, again, no. But it functioned as far as a culture that utterly dissipated.
Yes. Cults would be great. I'm talking about something that completely disappeared.
Come to think of it, the amount of changelings that were comfortable roaming around Sunsmith, in particular that region, the time began to shrink rapidly.
I've had caravans go missing with them on it. But didn't show up.
Changeling, so number of elves and actually one moment.
Ugh.
He uncurls his fingers and you can see a series of dark webs weave between his fingers, almost like webbed fingers. Before they almost drip down in umbral shadow. Basrir, if you would please, bring the census from the Red River Massacre and the registry from about 20 years prior, if you could. That may take a little bit, but
It's important.
our records, I can guarantee, will be a little bit more accurate than yours, based on that distance.
Okay. Well, I need to handle these two. I was going to let you sit in the room because you're far more intimidating than I am. And I am very tired after trying to be an intimidating mom this morning.
Don't, you'll make my undead face blush. You won't see anything because there's no living blood there, but grab this.
I'm just saying, and just like, I've had enough trying to stand in front of a child who's taller than me and go, you need to put your pants on, to the 4-year-old that's huge and 2-year-old. It's like, she's like, I don't want to put pants on. And it's your time she stomps, it
Here
shakes the room.
unexpectedly, don't get me started on the 4-5-year-old boy that learned exactly you tuck everything in before you zip your pants up.
It wasn't a zipper. It was tying it, which is even worse. It takes a minute.
Trying 4 hours. Anyway.
Yeah, I remember him buttoning it in the same hole. That was a fun day.
I'm gonna finish making breakfast. When it finishes, you and Vampire Man are going to come eat.
No, you can bring it here.
No. You can come eat. You can use the special dining room if you want to keep it official, but you are going to come.
Fine, but at least bring it to the secondary building. Don't put it in the main building, or we will lose what I'm working on.
Swear to God, if y'all wake up my child, I'll swear.
I know what you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
You will come eat.
Okay, understood.
Allow me to set a precedent. We need something a little better than understood.
Really? Really? Nick, he can hear my thoughts.
I know.
Yes, Nicodemus, I will be in the dining room shortly.
Don't keep me waiting.
She picks up her half of what she's working on and then walks down to the dining room, trudging the whole way, sitting down in her chair and eating her breakfast.
All right.
Passing Griffin in the hallway, so I at least want to handle one of these things before we move on. Or at least when we get a chance to move back, because I really want to do that. But
To clarify, don't keep him waiting didn't mean I want to see you immediately. He said he was going to finish making.
I know, she just moved down there so it would be easier for Griffin to find her.
Ah. Nice eyebrow twitch. So, as you make your way down to that dining room, which, again, formal, separated from everything else, and all in all, kind of unintentionally, a little bit overtly gothic, this particular decor set. Hadn't really had a chance to swap it out from the last time you used this, which was close to at least what the humans would consider October.
I mean, it wasn't really October. It's just literally like, it's also her grandparents' old house.
Yeah. Oh, this is a nice little space.
Mm-hmm.
And as you two kind of sit there in awkward silence for a moment, a small, portly, seemingly in shackles, approaches. Dwarfen physique only. The trademark beard, missing. Long hair, missing. Armaments or indications of trade, missing, as the clothing itself seems to be mostly neutral, light, made for subtlety and swiftness. And the tone of skin, also highly unusual, as his skin color is oddly green.
How's an evergreen boy?
Right?
People from Ennifer agree. Sometimes.
Not necessarily. Just because you're from Zaria doesn't mean you're gonna be blue.
Was it him talking?
That's the DM clarifying.
No, she's saying it out loud for the whole room to hear.
And this dwarf furrows his brow in confusion with a simple and quick response. Right.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if you have two brain cells to rub together.
This is the one that refused to give a name.
Mm-hmm. He's so clever.
What?
Easy. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's something in his ear?
We already checked thoroughly.
Did you run him through a healing process?
Yeah. There's something wrong with him that I don't think healing magic is quite gonna get.
Did we do a dispel? Did we cure him of his curses?
I don't know that he's strictly cursed. I think he's just... He's a toolbox missing all of its screwdrivers.
I mean, he's a vessel.
What?
Empty shell. Nothing going on up there, are you? Wonder what the trigger word is.
Are you going to assume things about me, or are you going to ask questions?
I'm just gonna keep.
You practically
assuming.
watch the gears screeching and struggling to push out that sentence.
You know what's really
and knocking
funny?
together.
It's the fact that you're struggling to finish the sentences. La Frankenstein.
I
Or
don't. What?
Frankenstein.
What? Don't know it.
You check
Who
if
are
you
you?
like the person who you entered their city and said that you didn't know who they were. You don't have a name, apparently.
No. I don't have a name. You watch one eye almost completely fucking dilate as he manages to get out that full sentence.
Are you a robot? Do I need to kill you?
Robot. No.
I dilated. You undead?
No. He lifts his shackled hands and smacks the left side of his temple, squinting that eye shut, trying to open it as that eye kind of twitches and then slowly goes back to form. There is a blatant pulsing of veins, an indication of life there. There is something off. Very clearly off. But he has yet to turn into ashes, so no clear indication of evil intent.
No, we're not in that building, Joe.
Right.
Don't like it. Looks like a fungus is running the brain.
Fungus.
Fungus.
No.
Mushroom.
No mushroom.
Is it a worm? Is it an elephant worm? That makes sense
No
too.
worm. Finally clear answers from him, but only after he's being actually asked questions.
Is it a spell? I don't know if you should be standing.
Not a spell.
Okay.
Exactly.
You said exactly, which means I'm getting closer. I'm getting warmer. There's something going on. I'm waiting for an answer.
Right.
She looks over at Griffin. Can you bring me the other one? The one that has a name?
The other one has a nickname. Didn't give a full name either, but this one at least had a nickname. Okay, I'm gonna go get that. Who the fuck nicknames themselves Cerulean Fox and he walks off? Perhaps because he's... Because he's...
What?
He He is
What?
there is a word for you.
Are you metal?
I'm going to roll an intelligence check with disadvantage
No, this
for this
guy.
person.
No, Joe, not this guy. Why this guy? Oh my god. This is worse than. I'm gonna say. This is worse than Tavinius when we first met Tavinius.
I'm aware. He actually rolled really well. -4. But rolled really well. Null. And his fur has been stained with algae. Little bit of blood comes out of his nose.
Okay, I'm officially gonna have the guy from Mechanist look at your insides.
He looks up at you. The eyes suddenly look a little less empty. No. No, he won't.
What?
To get into the city, get into the tavern, get into the office. Watch. And I watch.
You're being real cute right now, but I don't need a dragon invading my home space right now.
Dragon, no. No. Not a dragon. He's going to try and use a teleport spell.
Can't teleport in this room. It's an anti-magic space.
Means, at least given what he has to roll a saving throw. Try and push past it. Okay, that's a long throw.
I'm thinking.
Failed the saving throw. There are other ways that I can leave. And suddenly, both of the eyes fully dilate. And the skin starts to grow pale. But it still stands and stares at you.
I don't know what this is. She looks over at Zencash.
That was... What the fuck?
I don't know why they insist on boring me or trying to intimidate me. It just bores me.
I don't know if that was intimidation. And that bored you?
Yes.
That was weird. I'll give it that it was weird.
It's not dead. It's not anything.
and finally comes up what appears to be a sort of, at least in terms of relative to the actual animal species, a Finnegan fox knoll, where much of its fur has been sort of stained and off, sort of algae blue, if almost burnt berry blue. Anything available to name? Name
I'm
something.
gonna put that thing in a copper box. Because I have a copper casket. I'm gonna put that big giant thing in a copper casket. I'm gonna kick it into the casket.
Dwarf wasn't that big, not that hard to kick.
Every time
Okay.
you say box, my brain goes tinderbox.
In the box. Okay, so I tried to cross into the city, didn't have papers. I am currently shackled, not comfortable giving my name because I don't know where I am. All I know is that there were lights, there was a city. This is a castle, and that's a very green man.
Not for long. Kicks him into the box.
And as it lands in the box, you hear a much heavier thud in that box than
What I
should be for
thought.
someone of that size.
That's what I thought.
And to the point where it almost clangs against the metal.
I'm letting you know that I put it inside of the... You know, the next thing that you do is to get inside of the bag of
Absolutely, you
holding.
can
And let it...
A random sword named Astorius. Sure. Yes. Hobbits and Isengard redeemed a world builder, so there is now a sword in the world named Astorius that you guys will come across at some point.
I'm literally putting this thing inside of the box. Instead of my bag of holding, I'm closing the bag of holding. I'm waiting the good 60 seconds, suffocating the creature, and then opening the box.
The box normally turns things into mithril. That's that box, correct? Or am I
No.
mistaken? Which box is it?
That
What's the box? I'm confusing myself with the items I
This
gave
is
you.
a normal copper box with runing on it to keep somebody captured inside of it if I wanted
Gotcha.
to. It's a cast
It continues to breathe.
inside of the box, inside of the bag of holding.
Mm-hmm.
Things can't breathe inside the bag of holding. It's the rule about the bag of holding.
It means it doesn't need to breathe.
Physically, it seems to be continuing to breathe. The chest is continuing to rise and fall. There are sounds of an inhale and exhale that are continuing.
It's undead.
It's making it.
It's either a re-dead or an undead or a person that's been reborn. She opens the box. She just opens the thing, keeps them in the box, and keeps it in the
That
silent
is mighty
crystal.
disturbing. Should I be watching this?
Should I tell you where you are?
I got no idea. Look, they took most of my things. I have a book. Okay. Anybody worth their salt knows there's ruins in that book.
Where did you hail from? I'll tell you where you are.
I am from Jihu.
Okay.
Specifically a town called... I'm sorry. I don't know if I should be saying this.
Considering you're talking to the delegate of the city, maybe you should talk faster.
What are the potential consequences if I choose to keep my silence?
I cut your skin off.
That's a little excessive. It's a little excessive, not gonna lie. Look, okay.
You're wasting the time of a warlord. You should have already grabbed the axe because you're underground. You're in the Underdark. Should have figured that one
Okay, that explains why there wasn't any daytime. So, sorry.
Yeah.
From a little hovel called Driftfeather.
out. Okay.
It's a little trading town filled with parrot kenku. Kind of the perfect kenku, frankly. They already duplicate sounds being parrots, and they're. Anyway, look, we're a lot of animal folk there,
Mm-hmm.
and I found this book. Okay, I stole this book from a guy's wagon, and it had magic spell stuff in it. I would give it a try. Figured teleportation, that would save me a number of walks to work, and I think I took me a little too far. Just saying.
May I have the book, please?
I don't have it with me. They got it in their evidence box.
Oh, good. That's mine now. I'll try to find the owner while I'm at it. Second of all,
Am I in a safe place to say my name? You're not Faye, are you? You're not like some weird dark cave hag Faye person? You're small enough.
Piff's my dad, but I don't think that's the issue you're gonna have.
Okay, because I'm just saying, people as small and dark as you in the proportions that you got when surrounded by glowing mushrooms usually means Faye person, and that makes me real uncomfortable about sharing my name.
I am not Faye.
Your hair's pink enough. Your eyes are glowing too.
Glowing for a completely different reason.
Look, forgive me for being paranoid, okay? Just don't try and eat my firstborn. Or steal my firstborn.
Why would anybody?
Look, we got stories where I'm from, okay?
Ew.
I'm also going to point out that you live around Kenku.
And believe it or not, a lot of stories and traditions are passed by word of mouth.
Yes. And if there's Kenku, there's eggs. And eggs are usually a source of food.
For fox folk like me. What you're getting at, right?
Yes.
I walk in a bipedal fashion, wear clothes and use tools. I'm a little bit more civilized than my Animalia counterpart.
Mm-hmm. And I was also just reminded today where gnolls actually traditionalizedly come from.
Do I look like a fucking hyena to you?
Doesn't matter.
Would
You're
most
acting like
gnolls
one.
communicate this eloquently?
I have. My nieces and nephews would tend to argue that point.
Okay. Your nieces and nephews, your famous. Look.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that gnoll that you met at the door with the dragon that was sitting next to him?
Yeah, it was a little odd. Almost pissed myself.
Yes, the gnoll is my brother, my adoptive brother.
Okay.
So if you want to keep talking. You really getting your some.
Okay, do you want me dead silent and then you threaten me for being quiet, or do you want me talking?
Either you end up talking and get me somewhere you're going, or I can basically keep on this.
I made a mistake with a book that I acquired from somebody, and I'm here by utter and complete misstep.
Midwestern no.
Griffin, help me, please.
Oh no, this is hilarious.
It's not hilarious.
I'm about to go popcorn.
Message you.
Popcorn an option? Can I look? Teleported for the first time, and suddenly my stomach went from very full to very empty. I think I shit somewhere in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when you teleport when you're not supposed to, which means you have the ability to do magic. It means I don't know what faction you work with or what ability you have.
Work for what? Okay.
Hmm.
I work for an upstart rug making company. I make carpets. It's really dull. So I decided to do a bit of reading, saw there was magic stuff in it, and I feel like a rug that just got unwoven, frankly.
Griffin, we're not sending him home until somebody comes and gets for him, so he's gonna have to send a letter out, and he's gonna have to go and stay at least inside of the confines of actually having remedial
What kind of
service.
fox makes rugs among parrot bird people?
That's what the problem I'm seeing is too.
Look, everybody's got a trade, right?
Is he lying to me?
Make an insight check.
Fuck yes. I will. Yes, I will. I want him to stop talking. With a 19 plus whatever my inside is.
His deception is a -2. No, he's being completely earnest, highly nervous, and a little
Okay,
bit,
Griffin, I'm gonna.
a little bit secondarily evacuatory. As sometimes foxes, when they get very nervous, start to piss.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you, Griffin. He's gonna work off his theft in the tavern, considering he's pissing on my floor. Second of all, I want you to have a Farah put the anklet on him so he can't run off. Same thing with whatever that thing is in the box, and he does not get into my workspace. I want you guys to annihilate whatever is in the box. And let me put it this way. Angel basically takes out the crown of stars and starts getting ready to shoot the thing in the box.
That looks like a very magic-y thing, and I'm just going to go ahead and follow whoever the hell's dragging me off. You've got very strong hands.
She opens the box. Whoever sent you better tell me who sent you now. Or you die.
Death is of no consequence.
Death is a consequence. You never get to find the person you care about up to you.
So that confirms who you are. Emotions are so fascinating. So very
She's gonna-
fascinating.
He's gonna cast Fireball into the box.
As you cast Fireball into the box, go ahead and roll damage for me. Let's just see just how much damage you do. As this, by the way, is an explosive spell, so there's going to be shrapnel flying out.
Not necessarily, considering it's a confined space.
Just means you've got very limited space for in which that may ricochet.
Well, then I'll do Crown of Stars. You'll still burn to death. Doesn't have an explosive radius. It just hits the character.
Okay, roll damage.
Hold on. Joe, can you pull up the spell, please? Because I can't get a
As it
hold
is
of the
choosing
spell.
to fail the saving throw. There is one. What level are you casting it at?
Actually, hold on. I might do something else. It is undead, right, Joe? I'm not crazy here. It's a re-dead-ish person. I
You're
can't
uncertain.
remember. Joe, from what you've told me, they already ran it through the ringer of all the things. Can't pull up my D&D Beyond, my stupid
It
thing
is not undead. There's going to be 4d12 radiant at its baseline casting.
Hold on. Debating on if I actually want to do that. Give me a minute. I have to look over my spells real fast.
Technically, it's 4d12 times 7 if you want to unleash all 7 at it. So,
How high did they do the spell magic on it?
they did to the highest of their ability, which would have been, since it's Griffin 9th level.
I'm gonna do a charm person at 9th level.
Double check the rules.
You attempt to charm a humanoid so you can see within range. Must make a wisdom saving throw. And does not do with advantage. And does so with advantage if you or your companions are fighting it. I'm not fighting it. If it fails a saving throw, it is charmed by you until the spell ends.
Okay, it will choose to fail.
It wants to be charmed.
Right.
Ugh.
What are you? I need to give me answers instead of giving me half answers.
I am a puppet.
Good, that's what I thought.
A puppet made to observe.
Okay.
Oh, so uncomfy. Is this an actual body of a person, Joe?
You ask it, is that actual flesh on you?
Are you an actual fleshed body?
This is not flesh.
Oh, thank God.
The substance, though no longer in use, used to be referred to as silicone.
Ugh.
I take a gold coin and I cast the greed spell from the dragon book.
Any creature types that it does not affect?
Dragons are highly affected by this spell.
It's not a dragon.
I know, there's a reason I'm casting it. I cast it on the coin specifically. It can last infinitely on the coin as long as it's not affected. Only affects dragons in the first place. She's going to write the spell on this coin and take it painstaking time to do it. Enchant this thing. For the first time, I'm actually going to try to enchant something, Joe. Oh, good lord. You will return to your master. And you will observe his tiniest feature.
I am incapable of returning to my master. Sorry, clarify. I am incapable of returning to my masters. You're going to try and enchant this item with what spell?
It's the greed spell.
What level spell is that?
Greed spell. I'm gonna do it at 9th level.
9th level. Okay.
So I get 2 9th level spells.
Okay.
But
I'm going to
extra.
need you to go ahead and give me a
What?
D20 plus your Constitution and your Charisma modifier.
My charisma modifier is a +8. And then it's a +10. My charisma +10 with this. So it'd be you said,
Not
what else
saving
do I
throw
get?
modifier, just flat stat modifier.
With Dragonheart, it is a +10.
Plus your Constitution modifier.
+6. Yes.
Vanessa said, question, what time does the session normally end by? How many hours from now?
We have 2 more hours for this
Yeah,
session.
sorry for how long this section has taken. Usually it's only supposed to be half an hour. It's been nearly 2.
And it is, yeah, it's just going slower than he usually does.
Yeah, again, I apologize for my pacing. I am working with a really bad migraine that's admittedly fucking with my ability to keep track of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your total?
With my 19 plus 6 plus 10.
+19 +6 +10. Okay, so 19 +16